Hey, you guys, I am so excited to be on here talking about ways to increase your self love. Like, I recognize it's February and it's all the love month, but I think that the most important thing that you can do is increase your self love. And here's why is because I don't think that you can love anybody else until you really love yourself. And so I have Karen Osburn with me today, and we are going to talk about ways to increase self love. So, one of the things that obviously you guys know about me is we're going to talk a little bit about feng shui in the home, but I'm always focused on how to increase your mental, physical, and spiritual energy. And when we focus on increasing our physical energy, I talk feng shui, but Karen talks essential oils. And I love essential oils. I use them all the time. I even have my little roll on here, but I don't know what Karen knows about essential oils. I just know what I've read a little bit on, and this woman knows essential oils. So maybe introduce yourself a little, and then we'll dive into ways that we can increase not only the energy in our home, but our personal physical energy for love this month. Because I think the more we love on ourselves, the more we can love everybody else. And I'm talking everybody, whoever lives in our home, our friends, our family, the person who's annoying us at the store. like the more self-love energy we have, the bigger ripple we have with it, right? And I think that's the best conversation to have this month about love, is how we're loving on ourselves.
Awesome. Yeah, this is good. It's that conversation itself. I think people they're going to get all the other hallmarky, maybe that's an old reference, like all of that stuff kind of about Valentine's Day. But you're right, Jill. It's like, and we can't not hear this enough, right? Where it's like, yeah, it's about loving ourselves more so that we can, right? So I am a former practicing chiropractor. I had a practice in St. Albert for 14 years. I had done women's coaching for 4 or 5 years, and I'm now back to business that, yeah, as Jill talked about, I started initially back in 2014 with a company called doTERRA. And I just love, like, when I kind of maybe like you, Jill, like I had dabbled in oils for a while before that, but I don't know what the heck what I was doing at all. It's like I used oils to clean our chiropractic tables. I kind of knew about eucalyptus. When our youngest boy, who's now 10, when he was little and he was having like croup stuff, I think I put eucalyptus. I got the drugstore and the little humidifier, like to try to help. I didn't really, like, I got it, but I didn't really. And then when I found this company called doTERRA and I started using these pure oils, I was like, oh my gosh. And then understood the science and the chemistry. It's more than just we like the smell and therefore we have this effect, right? Or we go, oh, lavender, and we calm. No, there actually is a physiological response that happens in the body because how it actually impacts the chemistry. And so, I think essential oils are such a like an easy way for us to be able to not only shift the energy, right, but to help us, just like you said, Jill, just the way you talk about with your work, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like all these things, relationship that, yeah, they're super easy to use. They're very, very effective. They're very inexpensive to use. And yeah, the kind of the gravy on top is they just happen to smell amazing, which makes it that most people don't go, ooh, no, essential oils, I hate them. They go, oh my God, I love them. And they're just so easy to use. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for this conversation.
Well, I think that's the part, right? Is me because you've been with me for quite a while, but I'm all about what actions can you take. So it's great to have a whole conversation about self love and whatever. And we've actually talked about self love and self care, you and I, before, and we're like, I don't get it. like,
I was told, no, no, no. Okay, you go on this because I was totally remember this conversation. Okay, wait, I got to say something first. This is the way it's going to go down for this this conversation. Anyways, we're gonna because we get all excited because Jill and I actually sidebar have only met in person twice. One was for like a 4 or 5 day period. We were at like a women's coaching program, and then once before Jill moved out of Calgary, which is now where I live. We didn't time that one right, Jill? But we just had created a really close connection and are in contact kind of like all the time. But I remember this conversation like a couple of years ago. Like we were just like, oh, like self-care. It's such a like it's a cheesy term. It's almost become like it's talked about so much. It almost has lost like any kind of meaning to it. But it really is that though. We were like, can we come up with another term? I mean, I don't think we ever did we?
No.
Or like, yeah, so it is, it's that self-love is that, yeah, it is everything. It is everything. And I think that is that foundation. But like you're saying, yeah, the tools on top of it, well, great, I get it, but how do I get there?
Yeah. Well, I think the question was is when somebody says, like, I remember when I had adrenal fatigue and I went to my mainstream doctor and he's like, "What are you doing for self-care?" And I looked at him like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. Self-care? I got three young kids. Like, I'm surviving every day. But what I understood self-care to be is, what am I doing every day to take care of my energy? And so if you are new to me, you might not know this, but if you're not new, you know that I talk about the energetic platform. And that is doing things mentally, physically, and spiritually every single day for self-care. Okay. So, what I choose to read, what I choose to consume, what I choose to teach, the fact I choose to have gratitude and appreciation practice, meditation, physically moving your body. But oils, essential oils, is something I like. I have all these little roll-ons I've made of all the little research I've done. This is something I do for self-care every day. This to me is self-care. Yes, it's fine to go for the massage and get your nails done and go for lunch and do all these things that fill you up, but we're talking about like the self-care stuff that you can do every day quickly, right? Because I can't necessarily, I know I need a massage. Why, that might be 2 weeks out, right? But what can I do today? And so what I love about essential oils is it's an immediate thing. So just prior to us getting on this Zoom to record this, we just tried social media 3 different times and Mercury retrograde took over. And so the first thing I went to do was I grabbed my roll on. I'm like, okay, I got to get recentered for what this is. This is a little bit of a mode of self-care. And now I understand what that word means, but I understand it from the idea of a mental, physical, and spiritual connection. And essential oils are fast and easy to use, and they create immediate change in your physical energy. It also then changes what you're outputting, which means it creates a change in your environment, right? And how people are responding to you. So let's talk about the best oils to create that shift in your personal energy. So we know that love energy vibrates at a certain level, right? So how do we start increasing our self-love energy? What is some of the best oils to do that? We'll start with personally, and then we'll get a little bit into the home, what you would diffuse and use too.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to backtrack for a second if I can, Jill, because it's like a lot of people know about essential oils, but I don't know if everybody does. So I'm just going to just really quickly just talk about like 3 ways to use oils. We're going to just focus on the 2. So the one that you mentioned right now with your rollerball, topical. Okay, so applying it like to the skin, wherever that might be. The second is aromatic, so actually smelling them. So diffusing is one, out of the bottle and all that kind of good stuff. The third is internal. So internally is a little bit more for physical. We can have a conversation about that at a different time, but is mainly those 2 ways. And this is what I kind of did. So when we were saying, well, let's have this conversation. I'm like, cool. So I made a list and I got like, I mean, there's so many oils you can use for so many different things, right? And so although if someone said, for example, I'm having challenges with sleep, I'm going to instantly go to lavender as my number 1 pick. But the thing is because our bodies are all different, it means that they're going to respond differently to different oils. Now, do most people smell lavender, love it, relaxes them? Yes, but it's kind of like, I know this is kind of a weird reference. It's maybe not a common one for you and I, but if someone took a certain medication, right? And they had a certain, health concern, they went and saw their MD or a naturopath or whatever, it could be something natural they tried. And they tried it and it didn't really get the result they were looking for, right? So they wouldn't go, oh, well, forget that. That stuff doesn't work. They go, okay, what's the next thing? So essential oils are very similar in that way, is that when you're trying one, if that doesn't give you the impact, then you go to the next one, the next one, the next one. So, but what I did is I looked at all my oils. I'm like, well, this is just a whole bunch of stuff. So let me separate, put it into like 4 categories, okay? Which I thought kind of made sense since we're talking about self-love, right? In the relationship area of the home. Okay, so here's the 4. Relaxing, okay, so number 1. Number 2 is calming / anxiety, as in bringing down anxiety, clearly. The third is soothing / tension, so what we might feel physically in our body. And then the 4th is grounding. Okay, so I'll just maybe list like a couple oils for each one. And then like, feel free to jump in too, Jill, stuff that you kind of go like this one too. Okay, so, relaxing and calming. So again, the first one I would go to would be lavender. Okay, lavender, and most people are familiar with that oil, right? So lavender, I'd say the second one would be rum and chamomile.
Yeah.
Third one I would go to, and some of these will be names that unless someone's familiar with doTERRA, they're like, what's that? So I'll just say it's one of doTERRA's blends. It's called Serenity is one. And then the next one I would probably go to is called Adaptive. Okay, so they're blends. There are a bunch of different oils that are inside one oil. But by the way, you can add them together on your own. You could do lavender and chamomile together, you know? So do you want me to just go through, or is there any more that you really love for just relaxing?
I was thinking the one that I like, and it's just because I think it's just personal effect on me, because I don't even know the background, because guys with oils, they kind of all do something different. Obviously, we know the citrus ones uplift, peppermint, whatever, but I like frankincense. Frankincense
Oh,
is
yeah.
it's my go-to for at nighttime in the diffuser beside my bed. Like, and any little roll-ons I've made, frankincense is pretty much in all of them. It does something to me. I love it.
Yeah, I know. There's a reason why it was one of the oils that was brought to, right, the Christ child, right? It was those three frankincense. Frankincense is a real, like, this is where it's thing then too, where it's like frankincense can be immune system, it can be calming, it can be, you know, grounding as well too. It's a real spiritual oil as well too. It's kind of considered the king of all oils. And it's kind of this funny joke when I first was introduced to doTERRA back in 2014, or was like, when in doubt, just use frankincense. If you don't know, just use frankincense, you know, because it has, I actually take a drop internally every single day. And so just a drop like on my tongue or in tongue, doesn't really matter. It's going to go in. And it literally just feels like, it's just like my whole body just kind of like just soothes, you know. It's a beautiful oil for meditation too, you know, and whether you're doing it like topically with your roller ball or diffusing it, or this is one when you can get an oil that's pure that you can actually take it internally. Right. So yeah.
Okay, and that's so we should maybe like make is you need good quality oils. Don't go to the drugstore. Okay, and that's why I wanted to talk about this with Karen, because I know doTERRA has good quality oils, because that matters, right? Because what we put on our skin absorbs in, what we smell absorbs in, what we put in our space. So just total side note, you have to make sure you have good quality oils. Okay.
No, this is good, Jill, because most are either adulterated. So there's something else, how it's changed, it's diluted, there's synthetics in there. I'll just share with you a really, really fast story. When I mentioned earlier how I used to clean our chiropractic tables with essential oils, one of the oils I used was peppermint, and I just got one of the drugstore. I didn't know anything else back then. And so when I was introduced to doTERRA, like a pure oil, and I smelled it for the first time, and I was like, wow, like, what is this, right? And then I still had the old one. It was so wild. It smelled the old one, and now I knew the difference, right? It literally, to me, had a glue-like smell to it. I didn't catch it before, but it was only when I compared it to the doTERRA one, right, a pure oil, where I was like, okay, this is the difference. So thank you for bringing it up, because that's really, really important to know. Yeah.
Okay, the second area. So we just did grounding, right?
Yeah.
Second one?
Calming. So calming, soothing. Actually, I did have adaptive in this one. Sorry, I just made like a ton of notes in here. Adaptive. So again, that's that blend. And then breathe is another one. Now, breathe is an oil. In Canada, they have it's called a different name. It's called Easy Air. I still think of it as breathe. But breathe is a blend of like peppermint, eucalyptus, menthol is in there. I'm missing one other one. I must say cilantro. But it's like, most people use breathe, Jill, for like respiratory kind of challenges. So asthma, or if they're kind of stuffed up. Like I was diffusing a lot of breathe, kind of going through some kind of a cold recently. But I found that breathe though too does have like a really like it just kind of winds down. So think of like, if we're feeling really stressed, we often will go back to our breath, right? And just be like, let me just take a deep breath. And so because breathe really helps to open up the airways, I find it just allows you to take that deep breath so that you can just kind of like chill and come down on that too. Yeah. Any others that you like? I'm trying to make this simple because I could be like 10 oils for each, and it's just a little bit too much.
We're probably they're all like so many oils, but oils are so amazing. And once you start using them, you just start realizing. I think that one that it's interesting that it feels calming, but to me, a blend of eucalyptus and orange just
Oh yeah.
good to me, right? There's something, I
Yeah.
guess, orange is kind of uplifting, and the eucalyptus will kind of open things up. And I just feel more centered, right? So I dump that in the diffusers a lot during virtual school time.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Let's lift us up, but it kind of creates an openness. So those are kind of ones that I like
Yeah.
for that. But there's so many.
Yeah. Wild orange for like everything for me. Like it's just such a, oh my gosh, it is like you're saying uplifting, but you do, it's when you're adding it with eucalyptus as well too, right? Eucalyptus is going to help. Again, it's one of the ones that's in that oil, that blend breathe, is to really open up airways. But yeah, they're uplifting, the citrus oils, but there's also an antioxidant component to any of the citrus oils, but yeah, orange is just like, yeah, love it, love it. Okay, so we talked about relaxing, calming anxiety, soothing and tension. Okay, so by that I mean kind of more like tension within the body. So oils I would go to for that, for sure, peppermint. Okay, for sure, peppermint. Wintergreen is another one. And then doTERRA has a blend called Deep Blue. So that's a blend of peppermint, menthol, wintergreen, a few others as well too. And it just, oh my God, that's an oil that I probably use, I'd say as far as topical, on a somewhat regular basis. Like whether I just kind of feel tension in my shoulders, or it's like, oh, I feel like headache stuff going, which is not common for me. When I broke my wrist, okay, so actually my arm, wrist area, my distal radius, back at the end of October, when it was in the cast, as much as I could kind of try to like get it in there under the cast, but then when the cast came off, and even still, like it's still, there's a little bit of tension at times. It actually comes in a rub, which is cool. And by the way, one thing we didn't mention, when you are putting the oils on topically, it's better if you can use a carrier oil. Okay, so that can be any oil you want: jojoba, almond oil, sesame, you could use coconut oil, olive oil, doesn't matter. I like doTERRA has a fractionated coconut oil, so it's like in a liquid format, and it's just not as greasy, so it just absorbs like faster into your skin. But when you're adding then that with it, it's making, you're either able to get to like a bigger area. So for like tension areas, right? If I was to drop just a couple drops of that deep blue oil, chill and rub it in my shoulders, well, it's a bigger area, right? Or I have like a really good mom friend of mine, she's having a lot of low back pain. You'd have to put a lot of oil just to cover that area of the body, right? So the carrier oil means that you're going to get to a bigger spot, and it actually often makes it more effective. And then it's going to make it more cost effective, because you don't need to use as much of your essential oil,
Yeah.
So yeah, and the roller balls make it easy for that. I'm sure you probably use like a carrier oil in yours too, do you, Jill? Yeah.
Yeah, I use jojoba. Jojoba, I don't know. It's just the one I chose. I like it. I find it absorbs pretty quickly. And carries the smell really well, because that's the one thing that I do is before I use my roll-on, I always smell it first, right? Because I know that you get that kind of olfactory thing, and then you absorb through. So I always make sure I'm doing it kind of dual ways, or sometimes I'll rub a little on my hands, smell, and then I'll wherever. Because I used when I had adrenal fatigue, essential oils, I looked up a certain, like what essential oils to use, and I made my own blend, and it made a substantial difference in my nightly routine. Like it was significant, right? And I think that's when I really got more into the impact of oils on your physical body and your energy, was when I started using them for that, right? And understanding the difference that it made. And so the ones for that I used, actually clove, rosemary, there's pine, spruce. I wouldn't have thought of peppermint. I've used peppermint obviously for headaches, but for like kind of pain and stuff, that's new to me.
Yeah.
Like I never considered that as one to use. So I'm excited to, I'm not.
I can sense it, by the way, Jill. Yeah. And you can layer them too, right? And so, like I mentioned, there's some blends where they have a lot of different oils together, but like I might, for an extra little bit of punch, use some of the deep blue, which already has peppermint in it, and then put like a drop of peppermint on top of that too. So, and again, it's really about, what's going to work best for your body. You can try and all go, well, that's okay, but if I do these two together, wow, these are amazing, So, and it's interesting. I find people at first are like, well, I'm not sure. Can I do them wrong? And it's like, nope. Not really. I mean, let's put it this way. If you added 20 drops of peppermint, okay, especially like doTERRA's peppermint, into like a bath, okay, you're probably gonna be cold for a very long period of time because that's overkill, right? Like it's just too much. I remember the first time I got Deep Blue and it comes like in a rub, like a cream format. I almost say like an 8535, but obviously, but you get the gist of it, right? And I first got it and I wasn't even thinking. I remember it was like years ago, I was so exhausted, I was doing CrossFit, then I was so sore. And I literally put it on like it was like lotion on my legs. And I'm like, oh, this feels amazing. And then like 20 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so cold. Because it really has this like penetrating effect because of the quality of oils anyways. But no, what's the worst thing that happens is you go like, well, that didn't really have the impact, or I just used too much. A little when you're using quality, again, back to that conversation, goes a long way, a long way.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we're going to number 4. So we did relaxing, calming, anxiety, soothing tension. The 4th is grounding. Okay. So grounding, you know, that you're going to use in times when you are feeling maybe anxious or tense or stressed, times that you just want to maybe start your day that way. And the top ones for ground, I'm going to go back to my list here. So this is kind of neat. So the one I think of right away that I love and I recommend the most is a blend that doTERRA has, which is called Balance. It's actually called the grounding blend. But here's something just to kind of to understand that I think intuitively we get a lot of this. Some of the most grounding oils, Jill, are the tree oils. Okay, you mentioned a couple before, pine and spruce, right? So think of trees, like trees have roots which go down into the earth. Okay, so this is why those are grounding. So oils like I use cedar wood on a regular basis. Douglas fir is like divine. Siberian fir, love. Vetiver is another tree oil that's like, and it's interesting too because the tree oils, some of them will be like they're thicker coming out of the bottle, almost like a tree sap, right? Like vetiver is very thick. You can sometimes get like little pop the top off it and have like a little thingy that squeezes the oil out. I want to say like a syringe. It's not a good reference, but you know what I mean, right? Because otherwise it's literally like this. You're like holding it going, just waiting for that oil to drop because it's so thick, right? But any of the tree oil. So times where you are feeling like you're scattered all over the place, you just need to ground. Maybe you want it before meditation, right? And again, we can go back to our friend frankincense because that's a really grounding one too, right? So yeah, I thought those were kind of a good selection of oils that kind of tap into that. And it makes sense with that relationship piece because if we're not, you know, coming from a place of calm, you know, love over fear, if we're, you know, grounded, if we're feeling like relaxed within our body, in our bodies and not all tension and bunched up, you know, all these things are going to help us be able to receive our own love and then the love that we want to receive and give to others.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the moment you've chosen to use something like essential oils, you've shifted your personal energy, right? You've taken care of yourself in that moment. And I think that's where maybe the self-care conversation gets lost is we think it's this big thing we have to go do, but it's as simple as pulling out an essential oil because you're feeling a certain way so you can shift how you're feeling. So you shift your physiology. It's as simple as going to get a glass of water when you're starting to feel a little fuzzy and tired, right? Like to me, those are self-care. That's self-love. And you're right. The moment you take care of yourself, you change your energy, you change how you show up, and you change how you can love others, right? So that's why I think when it comes to the conversation about love, it has to happen here first. And I think that's something that I know as when I was a mother of younger children, I did not do as good a job at that as I should, but I didn't know. I did what I could and I ate really well and did whatever. But there are moments where I can see like, there's a reason why I got adrenal fatigue and burned myself out. And if I would have known some of this stuff then, it would have shifted where I needed to go, you know, or what would have happened if I would have taken care of myself better. I think the other thing is, and Karen, she's great because she's wearing a pink today. Because color is another way to change your physical energy, right? So all of a sudden you wear pink, which is a love color, that has a vibration, right? The color has a vibration. It changes your physical vibration. So think about it. Simple as putting on something pink shifts your vibration. It shifts you personally, but it also shifts how people react to you, right?
Mhm.
And then you add an essential oil on based on that, some grounding, some, centeredness, some, stillness, like creating a different shift in that. And you've doubled up on your self-love already. Super simple. You put on a top and you put a little bit of oil on. Like, these are things that take seconds in a day that make a significant impact on your energy, which makes a significant impact on your life, right?
Yeah, totally simple. And like I don't use perfume. I haven't for years. I'll use oils, or you can have some, like if you have like, beads or something, you can add a little bit of oil so you're always kind of getting that in. There's certain jewelry that has more of like the clay, like
Yep.
some little clay piece or something, right? So you can add that in. But it is Jill, like it's so simple. We haven't even touched on like diffusing. I mean, I have diffusers I know you do too, right? Diffusers all around my home, so that it's not only helping to, like, what do I want to do usually well, actually diffusers I have usually, like, they go all day. So it'll be a lot of uplifting oils or focus, because I got my kids at home as well too, like homeschooling. Maybe I want to calm a little bit because I got a 7 and 10-year-old boys and they're nuts, and it's cold right now. So we're kind of like in the house. I know it's really cold where you are too in Saskatoon, but like, and then at nighttime, it's the calming oils, and we have roller balls go on the kids' feet. We sometimes will make like sprays as well too. And the boys like to put spray on their pillow at night. So I got my puppy Nova here in my lap. I've been petting the whole time, by the way. There he is. There's Nova. He's like, I was sleeping. He's sitting his eyes are oh, buddy. I use oils with him because he's a little nuts as a puppy, but like it's like it's the simplest thing to do. And just like you've started to do from adrenal fatigue on forward, you just incorporate them into your daily life and know that you have that tool. Just like you teach Ho'oponopono, right? Just like it's like, how can I amp up that area of my home with Feng Shui? There's the simplest thing to do. And you notice that effect like immediately with oils, which is so beautiful. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. Okay, so we kind of covered the shift the personal energy, or some parts of it, because really we didn't even cover
Yeah.
any of the really uplifting oils. But in order to kind of give you a full circle information, let's talk about your home a little bit, because we know that we can change our physical energy, but when you shift the energy in your home, it also impacts your personal energy, right? So it's so important to keep that energy flowing. So in your relationship area, your home. So for those who don't know, if you're standing in your front door looking at your home, it's your back right corner. If you don't have a rectangular square house, you might have a missing piece. You need to message me with your footprint. I'll help you figure it out. But in the back right corner of your home is your relationship area. The other part of your home that represents love is your master bedroom, because it's where you rest and relax and like nourish and support yourself, right? So in those areas, I know that I like to diffuse in my relationship area, lang, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
And sage and bergamot, because I actually know those are love energy vibrations as well too, from whatever research I did whenever I did that research. So I like
Yeah.
to use
Yeah.
those oils in that area to shift the energy in that area. Or you guys think about when you're diffusing oils, like Karen already touched on it, is when you're wanting to calm things down, when you're wanting to lift things up. How about when there's tension and you're needing to create a little more love in the space, right? Because we are all in our homes way more than we're used to right now, which can create some tension, right? So how do you clear that tension? Well, the moment we use an essential oil diffusing it, right, in a diffuser, or if you don't have a diffuser, just get a spray bottle from the dollar store. I just put water in there with my essential oils and I I spritz around everywhere. If there's been a disagreement or between the girls or Carlin and I will spritz the air with the spray bottle. They all know that the disagreement's over once I've done that, because I'm using the essential oil to
And scene. You guys are done now. Here comes the oil. Yeah, it's awesome.
spritzer, right? So don't worry if you don't have a diffuser. Put it on your wish list. But understand, a dollar store spritzer does the same thing. Sometimes if I'm desperate, I will just take a bowl. And I learned this actually as a part of a Feng Shui blessing, because you can use oils at the end of any Feng Shui cure. I just get a bowl, put some water in it, put some oils in it, and I just flick with my fingers, right? Like, you can shift the energy so simply. So if you were looking at wanting to increase the kind of relationship, love, let's love on everybody in the house situation, what would be your go-to oils to put in your diffuser for that?
Well, you mentioned a couple, like any of the florals, right? Like Lang Lang is one. Hawaiian sandalwood is
Oh, yeah.
often kind of like considered that, or any of the sandalwoods. But you know what I think it comes down more to, Jill, is just like, what oils do you really like? Like, there's something also to say about that, right? And so I still think lavender would be one too in that, but any of the florals, but see, it depends though, right? And so if you have a partner, especially a male partner, they might not dig the floral smells as much as like we would, right? Like rose would be one too. Geranium, it's got to put like a strong scent, that one, the geranium. Blue tansy would be one. But I think it comes down to what oils really that you gravitate to, like intuitively.
Right.
We're gonna kind of go towards like certain oils. For me, it's peppermint. If it was like desert island, what one oil do I get? I go for peppermint, right? Wild orange to me, every time it's like I love it and it calms me and it's happy. It's just, I feel happy when I smell that oil. I can feel that shift in me. doTERRA is another blend which is called Elevation, which is like a great oil for like grief and sadness. So although there is kind of like, again, here's the great oils, the aphrodisiac type of oils, even really, that I think it's just more of what's happening in the present moment, and then what oils are going to suit that. Does that make sense? I don't mean to dart that question, but there are those kind of oils where here's the ones for romantic love and all that kind of stuff. But I'd rather have people kind of pull from what makes me feel good, or if it's me and my partner, what do we both like the scent of? And that's the one that we use, right? Or that's the one that we use for now, right? Type of thing. Yeah.
I actually love that idea more, is because you're just intuitively sort of choosing. Right now, we are doing a bunch of pink grapefruit, peppermint, and orange together. It is
Oh my God.
the most glorious combo. And the kids are just like, oh, what's that? They'll come out in the main, because guys, there's a diffuser in the main room. Every child has a diffuser in their bedrooms. I have one in my bedroom. There's another diffuser downstairs. Like, there's diffusers everywhere. And I've collected them over the years. I started with one, and then we just slowly over the years added them to all the rooms. Now I want one specifically for my office, because I feel like I can't smell the oils enough from the living room to my office. But right now, that's the one we run a lot. And the kids are like, oh, what's that? That smells so good. I actually let Carlin at night. He's Mr. Go around to the diffusers and add things in for the night. And he picks.
I love it. Yeah. And you can even too, when the kids are little, I don't do this as much, but I probably should with my boys. It's like, let them choose, let them kind of pick, because the same thing, you might go like, oh, like I wouldn't necessarily say if you have really young children, don't let them put peppermint right before bed, because they're going to be like up, right? But maybe they're going to like an oil that's not necessarily a calming oil, but it really calms them. And to get them involved. And I think also coming back to the tool stuff, Jill, is just like to teach our kids, whether they're your girls' ages, right? Like preteen and teen and adult. But, teach them on an early age of, man, this is such an easy, natural, simple way to be able to have a tool to help to shift things when we got a nation where people are reaching for alcohol and weed and all sorts of other stuff is not healthy. What a beautiful gift to teach your kids of like, this is how we grow up. Right? They just know that this is the norm. I mean, I grew up in a family in the 70s. My mom was baking muffins and people are like, what's a muffin? Like, we were like a weird family, like adding brewer's yeast or orange juice. Like, no one was doing this stuff back then. But it shaped the way that I began to see health. And I think if you want to talk about giving a gift to your children this Valentine's Day, we start to show them by these actions, right? This is so much bigger than get the box of chocolates and the other stuff that you want to get and fun, little treats for them. But this is the greatest gift you can give, to really love your kids and the rest of your family. Like,
I think one of the favorite things I do with my girls is I will give them an empty roll-on and they will smell all the oils and they pick their own combo. So they're sniffing and they're sniffing and they're sniffing and they're sniffing, and then they like 2 or 3 that they like, and It doesn't matter what it is, we put it in, and then they have their own thing that they've made that works for their vibration, right? It intuitively, they know what they need. It's just like when I see one of them, because we're in virtual school, especially Montana, because she's still not, she's still on her healing journey, is if she's a little tired, I'm going into her room and adding orange. I like bergamot. Bergamot is one of my favorites. I add pepper
Yeah,
right into
beautiful.
this, like all the things to lift her up a bit, knowing that
Yeah,
it's gonna help boost her for the job she needs to do, right? That
right.
me
Right.
showing her self-love, right? Like because she maybe isn't old enough to do it, but she has an understanding. She sees me in there adding specific oils, and she'll sometimes even ask, like, what are you adding, right? Or they'll
Mhm.
comment, but it's getting them involved with using it, right? So you're not only it's not only the self-love and the self-care for you, but you are right. Your kids are going to learn more by your actions than what you tell them. So if this
Yeah,
is what they get used to experiencing, it changes then how they know how to take care of themselves,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
my oldest daughter doesn't run her diffuser daily, but the moment that child gets sick, she's pumping that thing like crazy, and she knows,
Yeah,
well, and she knows what to put in, right? And that's just kind of being a 20-year-old, and you don't do everything your mother tells you, but she knows to use that as a tool if she feels a cold coming, or if she hasn't been sleeping very well, or whatever, right? So she understands the tool, right? So you can see how they learn and grow from that. So
yeah. And I think, can I just add one last
yeah,
thing that you're talking about? And what I'm kind of hearing this as well is like creating as a habit, right? Like the thing that you teach then too with routines and all these different habits. Like I get all my diffusers ready the night before. So when I get up in the morning, it's just like turn it on, turn it on, turn it on. It's just like, it's nice, right? The same thing for, I'll get them all ready in the evening before we go to bed. And then we go to bed, then I'm going to turn them on because they're running for several hours, right? So it's creating it as part of that routine. So I've got a couple roller balls, I'm sure you do too, like right next to my bed. And you put them on the bottoms of the feet where we have a lot of pores and they get, it's just, it's again, having that routine. Every single time I go outside to shovel snow when it's like so cold right now, I'm putting one of the respiratory blends on my feet, put my boots on, and then out I go, right? So I think the more you can make them too, once you get into them, like that routine and that structure, the better. It's just so easy. Yeah.
well, it's such an easy self-care thing. Like my roll-on sit right beside in where my toothbrush is, because I have two I put on for the morning and two I do at night. Well, I brush my teeth in the morning and I brush my teeth before I go to bed. It's just
Right.
right there. Carlin now is
Mhm.
taken over at night when he's home. He tromps around. I have this little orange jug, and then he picks whichever oils he tromps around. He fills all the diffusers, right, for the evening for sleeping. And then in
Yeah.
the morning, part of my morning routine is I tromp around with the little orange thing and I fill up everybody's in their rooms and in the main rooms, and I do them for the
Yeah.
day, right? Super simple.
Yeah.
It just creates such a big shift, right? So that's why I wanted Karen on, was because I wanted to share with you another way to take care of your physical energy, because I talk about feng shui all the time and you guys know the areas and the colors, and it's super important. It's foundational. But what's another way we can shift our personal energy? And this is one that we can shift literally on our body, but also shift in our space using oils, right? And it impacts all the people around us. So when we're choosing to do this for ourselves, we're also creating a ripple for everybody else, right? Feng shui is the same way. If you feng shui your house, you've impacted the whole block with the ripple that you've created. Same as this is my kids pick up on my energy. So if I need some grounding, I need some peaceful calming, like they're going to match my energy where it's at, right? And so you taking care of yourself using something so simple as oils to do that, then also helps your kids too, or who your friend who is over, whoever's there, right? Like, and so I think about self-love and self-care, and this is the stuff that I think about, right? Is this is how you love yourself, is you take care of your physical energy, right? We can talk about the normal ways of moving your body every day, super important, reading, all of that, but then we can start doing some of these extra things that create such a difference and a shift in our physical energy that it creates a big difference in our lives, right? So that's why I was excited to have Karen on. So if you had, like you already said, you would take peppermint everywhere, but what are your
Okay.
top like 3 oils that you kind of use the most, love the most right now, because I know it probably
Yeah.
changes, or that
Yeah.
you recommend people to start with, right?
Okay.
What are 3 easy oils to start with?
Blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
if I only had to pick, if I only had to pick three, okay, and kind of as a starting thing and ones that can be used for a lot of different things, it would be peppermint,
okay.
it would be lavender, and it would be lemon.
Oh,
Because lemon can be used in like it's so detoxifying for the body. It's so detoxifying and easy to use in cleaning our home. Like lemon is just it's one of the most inexpensive oils as well too. So yeah, I would do those three. It's funny when you say that. I'm like, but there's also On Guard, that Syrian blend, and then there's Breathe, and then But I'd say those, peppermint, lavender, lemon. I often talk about kind of the top 10 oils that everybody should have in their quote unquote medicine cabinet, right? To be able to have for those tools. But those would be my top three.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't use lemon
Yeah.
enough. You've now I gotta
Oh my God.
add that in more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have, well, I got lemon and water right now. I also had wild orange or grapefruit, and citrus are great in water as well too. But yeah, lemon.
So why don't you share? Because I'm sure people have questions. Anyways, you guys, if you're watching the video, ask questions. We should have said that like at the beginning. Ask away. We'll both check the comments and the whole thing. You can connect with us. But Karen, why don't you share how people can connect with you, how they can learn more about the oils that you use, maybe even your top 10, like all of the things. I'm sure they have questions. So share all that.
I would love to. Yeah. Thank you for that. So I'd say, so two ways. One, I'm gonna make it really easy, like text me. Okay, so text me. So maybe we'll have this in the link too, but I'll just say it right now. So it's 403-816-2281, or email me, Dr. Karen Osburn, so DrKerenosburn@gmail.com. And so there's a couple things when Jill kind of talked about this. I said, well, it would be cool for anyone who's here in Canada or US that I can actually send you a sample. Okay, so just if you can just like text me or email me and say, like, here's the oil I want to try. But actually, what's even better is like, here's either where I need to amp up the self-love, like in this area, or here's my biggest, health concern, whether that's emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, whatever it might be. And then on top of that, I'm going to send this Modern Essentials guide. Okay, so for you. So this is really cool. Like you can look up, it's got different health concerns, emotional too, from kind of like A to Z. So I find most people they'll start it with it and they're like, oh yeah, there's also this with me, and this with my partner, and this with my children, and then also because there's so much to learn. I mean, oils are awesome and fun, but I don't know about you, Jill, but for me at the beginning too, I was really overwhelmed, and so I had to have someone kind of like teach me more and talk me through it. So when I send a sample, then we'll kind of, so just again, you can email me or to text me and just say, hey, I'd like to get one. We'll do for like the first 10 people. And then we'll get on a really quick Zoom, and then I can actually teach you about these oils, because there is so much. And so this way, then you get to see, well, okay, well, what do I really need, or where can I start, versus being like all over the place, right? And it's something like the education piece. It's what I did when I was in practice as a chiropractor. That was the most important thing. And so with essential oils, it's no different. I want people to understand this really fully. Sometimes I think even more so before they even decide to invest and start with oils, understand it first, and then you can make a really good, like, educated decision of what you need for you and for your family and for that self-love.
Love it. Okay, so be sure to connect with her. If there is something you need, or if even you're not sure what you need, she can share that with you, because essential oils have really changed my personal energy and the energy in my home. And obviously, Karen's as passionate about them as I am, because they do create this beautiful shift. So if you need a little self-love, connect with her, begin to use these in your home. Let us know in the comments what your favorite oil is. I would love to hear that, because I'm hearing from Karen, I got to use lemon way more in my home. So I'm going to start doing that too. So let us know what that is. Karen, I'm sure we'll be back doing another one of these, because this has been amazing.
Love to. Yeah,
And,
love to.
Yeah, let's continue this conversation in the comments.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.